Chapter 1271. You insolent child. You're just like your dad. How could you harm your family? I'm going to beat you to death. Darius struck Julian mercilessly with his cane. Crying and yelling, Crystal shielded her son. Stop beating him, Dad. Julian, apologize to your grandpa. Quick. Crystal was worried that Darius would really beat her son to death. Julian was holding his head and trembling in pain when he begged, Grandpa, please stop hitting me. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'll never harm them again. Crystal widened her eyes in disbelief when she heard those words. Was Julian really so foolish as to kidnap Benjamin's sons? You haven't learned your lesson, have you? You made an oath the last time around. Right after that, you kidnapped those boys. Tim almost died because of you. Darius swung his cane toward Julian. Although Crystal was shielding her son, her effort was futile. William was afraid that Julian would actually end up dead. Hence, he asked the others to hold Darius back. Old Mr. Graham, please stop. Mr. Graham has already lost consciousness, William said. Oh, Julian. Crystal shook Julian's body and yelled in the door's direction, Doctor. We need a doctor. A team of medical staff hurried forward and examined Julian. While being held back by William, Darius breathed heavily and stared fixedly at Julian. Insolent child. I didn't even beat him that heavily. Is he pretending to be unconscious? William saw the signal Darius sent with his gaze and stepped forward to ask, Doctor, is Mr. Graham okay? He's unconscious, but he seems to be doing fine. The doctor replied. Darius scoffed when he heard that. Don't give him treatment. He's just going to harm others once he wakes up. How could you say that? Isn't Julian your grandson as well? Why do you hate him so much? What did he do to deserve this? How could you be so heartless? Cindy Lane arrived in a rush and saw red when she heard Darius' words. She was heartbroken when she saw Julian lying unconscious on the bed. My precious grandson. Cindy sobbed and rushed toward Julian. However, she didn't dare to actually touch him. Why did you beat him up? Why are you so heartless? Were you trying to kill him? Cindy glared at Darius. Darius' face was filled with rage as he glared back at Cindy. He deserves it. Don't you know why I beat him? He roared. Cindy felt a shudder down her spine when she heard that. She had just returned from a trip to a church. On top of a mountain. She knew Julian was sent to the hospital due to a beating, but she didn't know who the perpetrator was. Thus, she quickly turned toward Crystal, her daughter-in-law, and questioned, Crystal, why did Darius beat Julian up? Mom. Crystal acted as though her savior had arrived. She hurried toward Cindy and uttered pitifully, Dad said Julian kidnapped Benjamin's kids. As soon as those words fell, Cindy glanced at Darius and uttered sarcastically, I see. This is all because of Benjamin's bastards. Slap. Darius' eyes were bloodshot when he thundered, You're the reason this family isn't at peace. As a mother, you're responsible for your children's behavior. Who are you calling a bastard? Where are your manners? They're all the children of the Graham family, no. If anything, your son is the bastard. Cindy was dumbfounded after getting slapped. She couldn't believe Darius had just slapped her across the face. Darius has never hit me throughout our many years of marriage. Did he just slap me because of what I said about Benjamin's children? If they're bastards, what are you? They're all your descendants, no. Why don't you blame yourself? If Benjamin's kids are your grandchildren, how about Julian? Isn't he your grandson? Cindy retorted. There and then, Cindy recalled the fact that Benjamin's mother was the reason the Graham family shunned her back then. Cindy had endured the grievance for decades. Hence, she grew even more agitated when she saw that all Darius cared about was Benjamin's kids. Benjamin is the bastard. He's a child of a mistress. Cindy fumed. Chapter 1272. The temperature in the ward seemed to drop rapidly as silence ensued, and the atmosphere became so tense that no one dared to breathe out loud. Who did you call a bastard? A frosty voice rang out. The murderous aura in the tone unsettled everyone in the ward. Evidently, Cindy recognized the voice, for her knees went weak. However, she didn't dare to turn around. Everyone else, however, turned and trembled when they saw Benjamin. With a frosty expression, Benjamin stared at Cindy and asked domineeringly, "Who did you call a mistress?" Meanwhile, Darius also jumped in alarm because he didn't expect Benjamin to show up there and hear the words Cindy said. "Benjamin." Darius shot Benjamin an apologetic glance. Benjamin ignored Darius and continued glaring at Cindy. "My mom was the lawful daughter-in-law of the Graham family. Only those indecent bunch of people would say otherwise. How dare you twist the facts?" Cindy was infuriated, and she turned around to yell, "You! Zip it!" Darius glared at her. Benjamin then swept a cold glance at Cindy, Crystal, and Julian. Apart from Julian, who had lost consciousness, the other two seemed livid. As for the rest of the people in the ward, they all kept their heads lowered to try and be invincible. After all, it was the Graham family's private matters. None of them wanted to be a part of it or stay there any longer. However, they didn't dare to leave because they were intimidated by Benjamin's aura. "Trash isn't welcome here. Chase them out." Benjamin's words brought different reactions from different people. The hospital director arrived in a hurry and looked at Darius before casting Cindy a glance. Still, no one in the ward dared to move a muscle. Enraged, Cindy pointed at Benjamin. "You, how dare you call me that? You're..." Crystal stopped Cindy and uttered, "Benjamin, Julian is heavily injured. Could you please let him receive treatment here? Once he recovers, we'll leave." Crystal was thinking on her son's behalf. That was the best hospital in Delmore, and she didn't want her son to receive treatment elsewhere and suffer from any side effects. Why can't mom just hold back her anger? How could she scold and point at Benjamin? She's courting death. Crystal had dealt with Benjamin before, so she didn't dare to face him head-on. "Don't beg him. He doesn't have the final say." Cindy shifted her gaze toward Darius and asked, "Julian is also your grandson. Benjamin isn't the only member of the Graham family. Who is he to chase us out?" Darius was done tolerating the things Cindy did and said that day. "Well, he has the final say," he replied expressionlessly. Cindy was in utter disbelief. Is Darius so biased that he doesn't care about the rest of us anymore? Cindy's blood pressure rose all of a sudden. As a result, her vision went black, and she almost passed out. "Darius, where's your conscience? For the sake of your career, you abandoned your family. Do you not feel sorry for us? Now, you're willing to allow him to chase my grandson out of the hospital. Don't you believe in karma?" Cindy sobbed and complained out loud to gain sympathy. Darius' expression darkened terribly as he glared at her. "Why did I choose to be with her back then?" Benjamin's face was filled with mockery when he saw Cindy putting on an act in public. Afterward, he turned to order the hospital director, "If they don't leave willingly, call the police. That way, their family can finally reunite." Crystal panicked and approached Benjamin to beg for mercy. However, she was tongue-tied when she met his chilly gaze. "Benjamin, you." Cindy wanted to curse at Benjamin, but she didn't dare to finish her sentence. Seeing that, the hospital director stepped forward and instructed, "Please leave the hospital, old Mrs. Graham. You're not welcome here." Cindy glared at everyone before turning toward Darius. "Are you just going to watch us get chased out? I don't own the place. It's not up to me." Darius retorted. They just had to challenge Benjamin continuously. They deserve it. Chapter 1273. "If something bad happens to Julian, I'll come after you," Cindy threatened Benjamin. "Ha!" Benjamin chuckled coldly and ordered the hospital director, "Tell all the hospitals in Delmore that I'll go after whoever dares to treat Julian." "Yes, Mr. Graham." The hospital director did as he was told. Cindy's face darkened when she heard that. Right then, the hospital director signaled the other medical staff with his gaze. Seeing that, the medical staff quickly pushed Julian out of the ward, bed and all. Crystal was fuming, but she didn't dare to cross Benjamin. Thus, she had no choice but to leave with her son. "If I offend Benjamin again, he might tell all the hospitals in the country to reject Julian. You should be grateful I didn't end your grandson's life." Benjamin shot Cindy a murderous look. How dare this old woman call me a bastard? She even labeled Mom a mistress. A shiver ran down Cindy's spine when she met Benjamin's vicious gaze. "Get out of here." Stop embarrassing yourself, Darius yelled with a stony expression. Cindy was terrified of Benjamin, and her heart was pounding. The moment she took a step toward the door, she collapsed on the spot. Darius instinctively stepped forward but couldn't grab Cindy in time. Just like that, Cindy fainted and fell to the ground with blood flowing out of her nose. Benjamin remained expressionless when he demanded, "Get her out of here before she dirties my hospital." Prior to that, Darius was just about to get the doctor to treat Cindy. Upon hearing Benjamin's words, however, he had no choice but to keep his words to himself. Left without a choice, Darius ordered the staff to send Cindy to another hospital. Prior to that, Darius was just about to get the doctor to treat Cindy. Upon hearing Benjamin's words, however, he had no choice but to keep his words to himself. Left without a choice, Darius ordered the staff to send Cindy to another hospital. With a mocking look on his face, Benjamin ignored Darius and left the scene. Darius let out a heavy sigh and shook his head as he watched Benjamin leave. "This is all my fault. It's only right for Benjamin to blame me." When Arissa saw Benjamin walking in, she asked, "Oh, you're back already?" Benjamin shot her a glance and hummed in acknowledgement before walking off to the other side of the ward to work. Sensing that he wasn't in the mood, Arissa exchanged a look with Mary and asked gingerly, "What did the kids say to you?" "They didn't say anything," Benjamin answered, looking even more aloof than usual. Arissa racked her brain, trying to figure out what had happened to him. His mood was fine before he left. Why is he moody after he sent the kids to school? With that in mind, she texted the kids to ask if they had pissed Benjamin off. The kids were bewildered because none of them had made their father angry. All of a sudden, Benjamin's voice rang out. He was on the phone with someone, and he asked, "Have you found who's behind it?" A moment later, he fumed, "No. What do you mean? Have you been slacking, Ethan?" Arissa couldn't help feeling sorry for Ethan as she glanced at the furious Benjamin. Coincidentally, Sean entered the ward and overheard Benjamin scolding someone over the phone. He then gulped and approached Arissa silently. As Benjamin still not in a good mood, Arissa caught the keyword in Sean's sentence. "Still, what do you mean? What happened to him?" Sean glanced at her before sneaking a peek at Benjamin. "Julian's grandma came to the hospital just now. Benjamin heard her saying mean things about him," Sean whispered. Sean had heard about the incident from a colleague because he was in the dispensary when the confrontation took place. Arissa frowned in response. "I see. No wonder he looked pissed when he came back. As it turns out, he bumped into someone he didn't want to see." "What did she say about him?" Arissa asked. Sean hesitated and decided not to speak about it. However, he met Arissa's inquisitive gaze, so he ended up taking out his phone, typing the words out, and showing her his phone screen. Arissa's face fell when she saw what Cindy said about Benjamin. As a matter of fact, she was broken-hearted. Benjamin must have felt horrible when he heard those words. Chapter 1274. Ethan could tell Benjamin was in a foul mood, but he had to bite the bullet and endure the scolding. After all, he supposedly couldn't figure out who the perpetrator was. "Mr. Graham, please give me another 2 hours." Ethan replied fearfully. "If I still can't give him an answer by then, I'm sure he's sending me to a deserted island as punishment. However, the boys warned me. If I tell Mr. Graham about it, I'll be in trouble. I'm in such a difficult position. Having said that, I would rather cross the boys because I can at least negotiate with them." "You have 1 hour. Benjamin issued the ultimatum. "It's just a small matter. Why can't Ethan settle it? Something fishy is definitely going on here." Arissa and Sean exchanged glances when they heard that. After that, he quickly gave her an IV drip and fled. Before he left the ward, he waved at Mary, signaling her to leave as soon as she could. "Issa, I should head home. Rest well." Mary sensed the weird atmosphere. "I should leave while I can and let the married couple talk in private." "Okay." Arissa nodded. After everyone left, Arissa asked Benjamin, "Were you on the phone with Ethan just now? What did you ask him to investigate?" Benjamin composed himself and replied, "I asked him to find out who assaulted Julian." Arissa froze momentarily. "Oh, So, it really wasn't them. Yes, we need to investigate that thoroughly. After all, this person did us a big favor. She joked. Seeing that Benjamin was keeping mum, she mulled over it and asked, "Who pissed you off? You're so cranky. Is it that obvious?" Benjamin glanced over and saw her sitting by the bed. In the next moment, he walked toward her and helped her lie down. "You have to lie down when you're on an IV drip." Orissa hummed in response and stared at him. "What happened to you?" Benjamin knew she was worried about him, but he didn't want to tell her things that would agitate her. "It's nothing. A few idiots annoyed me," he replied evasively. Hearing that, Orissa held his hand and toyed with his fingers. In a gentle tone, she urged, "It's okay to tell me. What exactly happened?" At times, one had to vent to feel better. Benjamin gazed at her and sighed. "If I tell you, I'm only going to frustrate you. You need to rest." Since he was unwilling to open up, Orissa had no choice but to ask directly, "Is it because of Julian?" She didn't mention Cindy because she didn't want to throw Sean under the bus. Benjamin's eyes gleamed as he stared at her steadily, making her feel somewhat guilty. "Sean told you about it, didn't he?" The sentence sounded more like a statement than a question. Orissa smiled awkwardly in response. How is Benjamin so smart? When Sean told me about it, Benjamin was on the phone. "So, are you still not telling me about it?" she asked. Benjamin pinched her fingers gently and answered, "They caused trouble in the hospital, and I chased them out." "Good job." Orissa showed her support. "Don't you think what I did was heartless?" Benjamin raised a brow. "No, they said mean things, so they truly deserve it. If I were there, I would have hit them." Orissa snarled. She was so angry that her cheeks turned rosy instantly. A twinkle appeared in Benjamin's eyes, and he was no longer as irritated. He then pinched her cheek and asked all of a sudden, what if she was right? Orissa became angrier as she stared at him in disbelief. "Are you crazy? Why would you call yourself a bastard?" Touched, Benjamin caressed her head. There and then, he told her about his family. "In actuality, this is all because of the foolish things Dad did when he was younger. He and Cindy knew each other from the beginning, but he married my mom because it was an arranged marriage. After my parents got married, my mom was pissed off when she found out Cindy and my dad had 2 children together. Initially, my mom wanted a divorce, but my dad refused to accept it. I don't even know if he ever loved her. After so many years, he has neither brought that woman home nor taken my mom back." Chapter 1275. Orissa froze. "Did I mishear him? Is his mother still around?" "Benjamin, your mother is still alive," she whispered. She had always thought her mother-in-law had passed on. "She is," Benjamin told her as he looked at her. "Why don't I see her around?" The corners of Orissa's lips twitched. It had been a long time since she came to the Graham family, but she had neither seen the woman nor heard anyone speak of her. Hence, she assumed that the woman was no longer around. "She's been living a reclusive life," Benjamin told her. "Once you're feeling better, I'll take you and the kids to visit her." Orissa nodded. Has she seen Gavin before? When he was a 1-year-old, yes. Benjamin did not think this was anything odd, and he never mentioned the rest of the children to his mother either. Orissa was stunned. She's really living like a hermit. Gavin was already 5, but he had only seen his grandmother once. It was no wonder Gavin did not know about his grandmother. "Do you contact her often?" Orissa questioned curiously. "No." Orissa fell silent. Unable to see any changes in Benjamin's expression, she could not tell what kind of relationship he had with his mother. "It's not as tense as the one he has with his father, right?" Ultimately, she asked, "Are you on bad terms with your mother?" Benjamin froze and cast her an odd look. "No." Orissa was taken aback. If he doesn't have a bad relationship with his mother, why would he not contact her? She voiced her thoughts out loud. "Then why aren't you contacting her? Do you not miss her?" "It's not as if I'm still a kid," came Benjamin's serious reply with a tinge of disdain. Orissa nearly choked at his response, speechless. She then muttered under her breath, "It's nothing embarrassing to miss your family and contact them. And it's not as though she called me," Benjamin added, scoffing as if he was displeased. At that, Orissa's eyes widened. So he's not calling her because she doesn't call him. Does he have to be so petty? Thank God the kids aren't like you, Orissa gratefully commented. If the children were like him, she would probably die from high blood pressure soon, for they were probably going to never call once they turned into adults. Benjamin frowned, not understanding what she meant. He said, but they're just like me. Orissa was at a loss for words. While the children did look a lot like him in appearance, they seemed to have learned some of their behaviors from her instead. Even Gavin and Tim were much like her now. They used to barely speak a word back then. Yes, sure, they're all like you, she mumbled to appease him. Benjamin studied her expression and sensed something amiss in her tone. Why do you sound sarcastic? Are they not? Orissa only glanced at him before looking away and starting to eat fruits. After a while of chatting with Orissa, Benjamin was in a much better mood. It's not good to eat too much of these fruits, but I want to eat more, Orissa softly protested. Benjamin sighed. He could never say no to her. Just 2 more, all right. Delighted, Orissa fed him a few pieces of the fruits. They're sweet. I don't want them. Benjamin turned away, but Orissa still shoved the pieces into his mouth. Just eat them, Orissa demanded. When Darius saw the heartwarming scene from the doorway, he felt relieved, but at the same time, he was crestfallen. Turning to leave, he waved for the butler to come with him. Old Mr. Graham, are we not going to visit Mrs. Graham? No, let's go back. Benjamin will be more than enough company for her. It was not as if Benjamin wanted to see him now anyway. When the butler noticed that Darius seemed melancholic, he consoled, Old Mr. Graham, I'm sure Mr. Benjamin is just upset to hear those harsh words. He'll be fine after a few days. Say, William, am I a bastard? Both the mother and the son have yet to forgive me until now. Darius' eyes were red, and his throat was tight. He felt horrible. William was silent, however, for he did not know how to answer Darius. Chapter 1276. Ethan's distress was written all over his face, and he had downed a few cups of coffee. Jack's gaze was wandering all over Ethan's body, and his amusement of Ethan's troubled state was palpable. So there really are things in life that will stump you. Ethan rolled his eyes in response and hissed, stop gloating. You're involved in this too. If Mr. Graham dumps me on an abandoned island, you're coming with me. Jack narrowed his eyes. Are you insane? He then dropped his smile and took his time enjoying the snacks and coffee in the air-conditioned room instead. Checking his watch, Ethan noticed that it was almost time for the children's classes to end, so he called Gavin. Hey there, Gavin. Ethan's over-friendly tone made goosebumps rise on Jack's arms. What's the matter, Mr. Frank? Anything I can help you with? Came Gavin's youthful yet mature voice. Ethan let out a wry chuckle before explaining, so, here's the thing. Your daddy's urging me to get results in the investigation, so if I don't tell him soon, I'll be banished to an abandoned island. Your daddy even lost his temper at me earlier. Ethan was truly stumped, for he could not offend either party. Gavin blinked a few times before noting certain important points about Ethan's speech. Why did my daddy lose his temper at you? Ethan sighed. Alas, he had no idea why Benjamin flew into a rage too. Maybe he was upset about something when he was with your mommy. No way. Gavin responded in certainty, for Orissa had also subtly asked them about this matter. Therefore, evidently, their father was upset about something else. Yet, no one knew what he was upset about. In the end, Gavin guessed that Julian and the others had something to do with this. Daddy must be mad with those bad people. Who? Ethan promptly asked, still unable to come to the same conclusion as Gavin. Who else? I can't believe you can't think of who it is despite working for Daddy for so long. No wonder Daddy's angry with you. Ethan scratched his nose sheepishly upon hearing that before hesitantly muttering, Julian and the others. Something like that. Gavin scoffed. Julian means nothing and is no threat to Daddy. Daddy doesn't care about them. They probably just disgusted him. Could it be that old lady? Ethan asked. He wondered how he could have forgotten about her. Julian was getting treated in the hospital, and that old lady from the Graham family would surely visit him. Therefore, she had to have argued with Benjamin. I'm glad you're not that stupid, Gavin roasted. Ethan's lips twitched when he realized the boy was verbally attacking him again. He then headed straight to the topic by saying, Gavin, I'm going to tell your daddy the truth, okay? Think of this as a favor. It's hard on me too. I can't let your daddy find out that I've been helping you hide this from him. We'll all have a hard time if he finds out about this, you know. Gavin chuckled when he heard how miserable Ethan sounded, but his expression remained the same. Right then, Zachary asked, Mr. Frank, how long did he give you? An hour. There is less than half an hour left, came Ethan's weak reply. If the children did not agree with it, he would not be able to report back to Benjamin. Will Daddy punish us if he finds out we're behind this? Zachary cautiously asked. At that, Ethan swiftly consoled. No, Mr. Graham will surely be proud of you. He won't punish you. If you don't believe me, you can ask Gavin about it. But Gavin said that Daddy's scary when he's mad. He'll hit his bottom, and he once made Gavin stand in the corner as punishment too. The smart Zachary did not believe Ethan at all. Ethan gloomily answered, that's how he shows his love. He'll only do it to put on a show. He won't be harsh with his punishment. There's no way the boys can withstand severe punishment anyway. Are you sure? Zachary asked again. Chapter 1277. Absolutely, I assure you. This time, your daddy definitely won't punish you. If you guys get punished, I'll be with you. Could you please help me get through this tough time? The somber tone in Ethan's voice made the little ones' hearts ache. They couldn't help but sympathize with him. Ethan had indeed been covering for them, keeping it from their father. If they didn't allow him to tell their father would surely find out from other sources that they were the ones responsible. Let me tell you this. When you see your father, put on a sincere show of remorse. Act pitiful and reflect on your mistakes. He'll soften up and won't punish you. Ethan thought the little ones wouldn't agree, so he continued teaching them to first adopt an attitude of admitting their mistakes when facing Benjamin. Mr. Frank, just tell Dad. Gavin interrupted him. Ethan was about to persuade them when he was suddenly interrupted by the little one. His words got stuck in his throat, neither coming out nor going down. It took him a moment to regain his composure. Thank you, kids. I'll take you out for some delicious food tonight, Ethan said, brimming with excitement. At this point, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Seeing that the time set by Benjamin was approaching, he hurriedly called Benjamin to report the matter. After a short wait, Benjamin finally answered the phone. Speak. Hearing the familiar voice that was succinct and imposing without anger, Ethan couldn't help but feel his nerves tighten. For a moment, he couldn't discern what Benjamin was feeling at that instant. With a cautious tone, he said, Mr. Graham, I've found out who attacked Julian. From the other end, Benjamin's voice didn't come through, as if he was waiting for him to continue speaking. With a sense of reluctance, Ethan reported, the kids did it. Over there, it was still quiet. Ethan's heartbeat quickened with anxiety. He wondered if Benjamin would lose his temper. Mr. Graham, Ethan tentatively asked, wondering if Benjamin was too angry to respond or hadn't heard his report clearly. Okay, Benjamin finally responded indifferently. Ethan blinked nervously. It seems that Mr. Graham is feeling rather calm, right? He continued to tell Benjamin about how the kids had taught Julian and Justin a lesson. Benjamin only responded with a single sentence. Send more people to protect them secretly. If the incident from the day before yesterday happens again, I'm sending you to a deserted island. Yes, Ethan responded loudly, without a hint of hesitation. Take care of it. Don't let Gavin and the others be exposed. Benjamin issued the order seriously. Yes, Mr. Graham. After finishing his call with Benjamin, Ethan immediately ordered the bodyguards to secretly protect the little ones. In addition to the covert bodyguards, there were also personal guards, all scheduled and arranged. What happened the day before yesterday? Orissa's voice came from behind Benjamin, causing him to stiffen. He turned around, meeting her probing gaze without a hint of guilt on his face. Benjamin walked over to Orissa. Why did you come down? He bent down, scooped her up in his arms, and walked toward the hospital bed. Orissa naturally wrapped her hands around his neck, her gaze fixed on the man who was changing the subject. "Are you hiding something important from me?" she asked. "The day before yesterday, I was restless all day, always feeling like something bad was about to happen. But in the end, it was as if nothing had happened at all. If there was anything amiss, it was the children. That day, Tim didn't come over with everyone else to see me. He was with Dad. Did something happen to Tim?" "You lied to me, saying he was going out with Dad," Orissa complained. "How could Dad possibly go to a gathering with his grandchildren and only bring Tim? He would surely bring everyone else with him. The more I think about it, the more something feels off." She stared at the man calmly, wondering if there was any truth to the matter. Benjamin gently laid her back on the bed and sat by her side. Seeing her anxiously glaring at him, he let out a sigh. Just like that, he decided to tell the truth. "You're right." Chapter 1278. Visibly upset, Orissa slapped Benjamin's shoulder, demanding an answer. "What on earth happened? Explain it to me clearly. Don't be upset. Calm down. I'll tell you everything, but first, have some water." Benjamin coaxed her softly and poured a cup of water for her. Orissa was so out of breath that she could hardly stand it. Aware of her current condition, she took the water he handed over and drank it. "Speak up," she demanded, glaring at him angrily. After setting down the glass, Benjamin gently rubbed her head before starting to talk about the events from the day before yesterday. "Tim and Zachary were kidnapped the day before yesterday." "Kidnapped? By who? How could you not tell me about such a big thing? Benjamin, you're too despicable." Orissa was so angry that she was almost out of breath. Her eyes were reddened. Benjamin quickly comforted her. "I was just worried about you. If I had told you at that time, would you have been able to stay calm in the hospital? The children are fine now, so there's no need for you to worry." Orissa was fuming. "How can I not be anxious? They were all keeping secrets from me." Benjamin held her, his words flowing gently as he continued to speak, his hand stroking her hair. "The children are very smart, and they didn't get hurt. By the time we arrived, they had already subdued the opponent." "Who kidnapped them?" "Your enemy." Orissa's brows furrowed tightly. Even though she knew the children were all right and everything was in the past, she was still worried about them. No matter how smart the children were, danger could strike at any time. Julian and Justin. Benjamin wouldn't hide this from her. He wanted Orissa to be wary of those two in the future. "Were they kidnapping the children to threaten you?" Orissa looked at Benjamin. Although she was angry that he had kept such a big secret from her, she was also worried about his safety. Benjamin gently stroked her hair, assuring her, "I won't let such a thing happen again." Orissa fell silent. It wasn't his fault. It was those bad people. Bad people with bad intentions are hard to guard against. Don't blame yourself. I'm not upset with you because of that. I'm angry because you kept it from me, she revealed. Benjamin stared at her, puffed up in indignation. She looked incredibly adorable. He said softly, "If I were still hiding it from you, you wouldn't even know." Orissa glared at him in annoyance. "You really are a master of deception." Benjamin touched his nose and again mentioned Tim's allergies to her. Although the children were unharmed, Tim had an allergic reaction to their sleeping drug. "I didn't come over to see you with everyone that night because Tim had an allergic reaction and a fever. I didn't dare bring him over here. Tim was allergic to the sleeping drug." Orissa felt heartbroken for the little one, regretting that she wasn't by the child's side at that time. Her eyes reddened with anger again, and she hit Benjamin. "This is all your fault. Why didn't you tell me? Tim must have felt horrible at that time. As his mother, I didn't even know. I wasn't there for him, and neither were you." Thinking of how Benjamin had spent almost the entire night by her side, Orissa felt her heart aching even more for the child. Tim had Sean and Dad to accompany him, and Gavin and the others were taking care of him. "Everything went well," Benjamin explained. "How could it be the same? Even if you didn't tell me, you should have stayed by Tim's side." Orissa was upset. "I did go to keep him company, remember? Do you remember me leaving? I went to see Tim. Tim was sleeping, so I came back here." Benjamin quickly defended himself, expressing that he, too, cared deeply for the child, but his greater concern was her discovering the truth. If she had known at that time, she definitely wouldn't have been able to rest properly, staying by the child's side every step of the way. Orissa was indeed angry, but she hadn't lost her senses. She knew he was worried about the child and about her, too. After huffing and puffing a few times, her anger had mostly subsided. She still knew who the real culprit was. "Is that Julian whom you had taught a lesson?" she asked. Chapter 1279. After considering the sequence of events, Orissa felt that it was highly likely that Benjamin was behind it all. Given that Julian and his gang kidnapped the children, it was impossible for Benjamin to remain idle. Given his character of never letting any slight go unpunished, he would surely teach them a severe lesson. "No," Benjamin said calmly with a hint of amusement and pride in his eyes. Orissa was surprised and somewhat incredulous. "If it wasn't you, then who hit Julian?" Benjamin smiled, lightly brushing her nose with his finger. "Take a guess." The corner of Orissa's mouth twitched slightly. If it wasn't him, she couldn't guess who it was. "It has to be you." Benjamin sighed lightly. "I must clarify, the person who attacked Julian this morning was not me. The day they kidnapped the children, I had already taught them a lesson. Today, it was someone else." Upon seeing his denial, Orissa couldn't guess who it was either. "Who is it then? Tell me quickly. Wasn't Ethan just talking to you about this?" "It's the children," Benjamin revealed to her. Orissa's eyes widened in disbelief. "Are you saying the children sent Julian to the hospital?" Benjamin nodded. "Julian has broken bones all over his body. It was easy to imagine the children certainly didn't hold back when they were beating up Julian. Were they discovered?" Orissa began to worry about the children. If Julian found out they were responsible, would he seek revenge in the future? "No one noticed yet, and I've already had Ethan take care of it." On that matter, Benjamin had made arrangements long ago. Since it was the children who did it, as a father, he would certainly help them clean up all traces and protect them. Otherwise, if Justin and Julian found out, it was hard to guarantee what they might do to the children. Orissa nodded, feeling relieved. "We need to erase all traces thoroughly. Otherwise, the children could be in danger. They're really pushing their luck, sneaking off to teach Julian a lesson. If they get caught, it's going to be so dangerous. The kids are smart. They've cut off all surveillance, so it would be difficult for the average person to trace them." Benjamin still praised the children for their intelligence. "How did you find out?" Orissa looked at him in confusion. If he could find out, others surely could too. It would be just a matter of time. There were bodyguards secretly protecting them. That's how. Ethan didn't report that to Benjamin, but he couldn't hide it from the latter. The children were originally accompanied by bodyguards for their protection. It was clear without a doubt that the kids won them over as they chose to keep secrets from Benjamin. "Oh," Orissa looked at him. "You're quite proud, aren't you?" Benjamin raised an eyebrow, stating seriously, "It was quite dangerous. Once they're out of school, I'll deal with them." HMPH. How did you discipline Julian and Justin? The thought of those two kidnapping the children made Orissa wish she could teach them a lesson herself. "I can't believe they lay their hands on children. Are they even human?" "I've arranged for Ethan to take them out to the open sea for an adventure and a shark encounter. It's an overnight trip." Orissa was stunned. "That sounds rough but definitely satisfying. Do you want to watch a video of them?" Benjamin's gaze was fixed on her small face, somewhat ingratiating. Orissa glanced at him sideways, teasing, "Aren't you afraid I'll get scared?" Benjamin chuckled. "You're not that faint-hearted. Consider it a bit of entertainment for you." Orissa really wanted to watch. She was unable to teach those two a lesson herself, but seeing them get their comeuppance would be quite satisfying. "Hand it over." Benjamin pulled up the video that Ethan had sent him and began watching it with her. Justin and Julian were seen hung behind the cruise ship and soaked in seawater, having to endure the thrill of almost losing their lives to a shark. Orissa found it very satisfying. "Serves you right. Let's see if you dare to kidnap my son again. This'll make you remember this lesson well." Upon thinking of something, she turned her head to look at Benjamin and asked, "The collapse of Justin's house yesterday. It wasn't the kid's handiwork, was it? Chapter 1280. It is. Benjamin responded. Orissa was taken aback. The children were far too bold. They weren't discovered, were they? No, they hid their traces very well. Benjamin proceeded to explain the specifics to her. Orissa thought to herself, the children were really too bold. I need to lecture them later at night. While it may be satisfying to teach someone a lesson, safety must always come first. They are still very young. If they are exposed and caught, the consequences will certainly be far more dangerous for them than for adults. The little ones thought they had escaped Benjamin's punishment, but they didn't expect that they couldn't avoid Orissa's. After school in the afternoon, the children arrived at the hospital and immediately reflected on their mistakes. Why aren't any of you going in? The bodyguards were taken aback. The children looked at them pitifully, then promptly stood straight up against the wall. Left with no other choice, the bodyguard had to go in and report the situation to Benjamin. Benjamin stepped out, seeing the children reflecting on their mistakes against the wall, his eyebrows raised slightly. A hint of appreciation flashed in his eyes. What did you do wrong? He looked at the 6 children, his gaze sweeping across them. In the end, it was Gavin who spoke up, his voice noticeably quieter for fear of being overheard by Orissa. Did we do something wrong? Benjamin let out a light huff, his voice deepening. Everyone, stand up straight. The 6 children straightened up again, each with a backpack on their back, standing in a line. They looked quite charming. If you've done nothing wrong, why are you reflecting on your mistakes? Are you afraid I'll punish you? Are you all planning to act first and report later? Benjamin narrowed his eyes. The children's little schemes couldn't escape his notice. Gavin glanced at him and asked softly, will you punish us then? With a scoff, Benjamin didn't answer his question, nor did he let them in. They stood outside for a while. From inside the ward, Orissa called out, Benjamin, why aren't you bringing them in? What are you all doing outside? The children's eyes sparkled, and Benjamin noticed it. Benjamin glanced at the children and spoke up. Your mommy's calling you in. What are you all standing there for? Go in. The children exchanged glances, then promptly scampered into the ward. Mommy. Ah. Orissa saw the children running toward her, her face lighting up with a smile as she reached out to greet them. After holding them close and cuddling for a bit, she gently stroked their heads, asking with a hint of concern, you didn't cause any trouble at school today, did you? The kids all shook their heads in unison. No, they were quite pleased, feeling they had successfully navigated past the hurdle that was Benjamin. Plus, they assumed that Orissa was unaware of the situation and wouldn't punish them. Orissa nodded in satisfaction, her gaze wandering over the children. The smile on her face vanished as she suddenly became serious. Everyone, stand up straight. Gavin glanced at Zachary and Tim. They also looked at him, then turned their gaze to Oliver, Jesse, and Jasper. The 6 siblings were a bit baffled. Although they didn't know why Orissa suddenly became serious, they obediently lined up anyway. Mommy, is there something you want to tell us? The usually talkative Jasper asked, carefully looking at her. Orissa glanced at them and lightly huffed. Come clean. What have you all been up to these past few days? The kids were stunned, instantly realizing that their actions had been exposed. Gavin sneakily glanced at Benjamin, certain that his father must have told his mother. With a casual raise of his eyebrow, Benjamin sat at the side, watching Orissa lecture the children. Who among you want to tell me? Orissa's voice rose slightly. The children were looking at each other. The younger ones shrank their heads, leaving only Gavin, Tim, and Zachary bravely standing their ground. Mommy, we've been going to school these past few days. Didn't you know? Zachary still wished that Orissa didn't know what they were up to, hoping to bluff his way through. Orissa chuckled. Don't think I'm clueless. Your dad has already filled me in. The children immediately glared at Benjamin, as though they were saying, you betrayed us. Benjamin,